I'm going to talk to you a little bit about eBay and best practice for selling on eBay. My name's Emma Grant. I'm in the seller growth team at eBay. And the seller growth team is solely focused on making sure that our business sellers get the most out of eBay and grow their businesses to the best that they can be. So through a variety of education programs, tools, support, customer service, that's basically what we do. I'm going to start with a little bit of a story. So when I first started at eBay about 8 years ago, I actually started my own store. And it was a complete failure, partially because I decided that I was going to try and sell bikinis in winter. Definitely not a good move. And then secondly, because I didn't have any of the tips or hints that I'm going to take you through today. And it was a complete failure. But anyway, we'll move swiftly on. So, a little bit about eBay. And you'll have to excuse this. This is a little bit of a sales pitch for those of you who haven't started selling on eBay. So first of all, what do? It's really simple. We are a retail platform, a marketplace, and we link both buyers and sellers. We get both to connect through our site. There's a variety of things that both sellers and buyers can do on eBay, whether it be listing items, browsing for items, connecting with each other, transacting, very simple, but also giving back. So eBay for Charity raised over 100 million for charities in the UK last year. So we do have a giving side to eBay. And shipping, we have great platforms now with our Click and Collect and also our GSP, our global shipping program in the UK. So a little bit more of the stats about eBay. So we're one of the largest and most vibrant marketplaces with about 1.1 billion live listings at any one time. We also now have around 81% items sold as new. So we're no longer just the auction house that everyone used to think of us as. We also sell new, clearance, refurb, and it's a great platform for our sellers to make the most out of their international and global businesses. A little bit about our environment. So there are 4 big trends going on at the moment, which I'm sure many of you are aware of. First of all, mobile. We all know mobile is huge. If you are a retailer in today's market, you have to take mobile seriously. We're also in the age of distributed commerce. So it's now really simple for buyers, whilst they're looking at blogs, looking at Facebook, social media, to buy items in that flow. No longer do they have to go to a separate website to actually find what they're looking for. Big data, we all know, data is huge, both for retailers and also for consumers. Never before have consumers had so much data at their fingertips, comparison shopping, etc. And there's a shift in consumer behavior, the likes of AI. People want intelligent e-commerce experiences. And eBay tries to stay at the forefront of all of these areas so that you don't have to. We make sure that we keep up with the biggest trends in the market. A few fun facts. And these are some velocity stats by region. I'm not going to talk through every single one of them. You can have a look for yourselves. But I'm just going to pick out a few. A car part is purchased every second on eBay. Every single second. Imagine that. A watch is purchased on the US site every 4 seconds. Those velocity stats are incredible. If you're not yet on eBay, you really should consider getting on. And finally, we're a global platform with global reach and opportunity. We allow sellers to take advantage of our platform throughout the world. We also have a global shipping program which supports sellers in the UK send their items throughout Europe at no additional cost to them. So you simply ship your item to a location in the UK and eBay takes care of the rest, getting your item over to buyers throughout Europe. So, why eBay? With more than 165 million active buyers in 190 countries, we give you the platform you need to help realize your business potential. And if you've ever dreamt of working for yourself or want to take your business to the next level, or if you're a brand that wants a wider presence, we're definitely the marketplace for you. But anyway, enough for the sales pitch. Here is some views of our sellers on the platform who've been incredibly successful. I'm just going to call out Shasha and Sanjay from the Spice Kitchen. They've done incredibly well out of eBay. They started off on Boxing Day selling small packets of spices. They'd had a particularly busy Christmas, and they had these spices around the kitchen and decided to start packaging them up in small jiffy bags. Their business has gone from strength to strength. They've been in national media. They have been on television now. They have retailers in the UK asking for them to stock their products. And they are a particularly successful business on eBay. So, as Lao Tzu tells us, a journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. And I'm going to run through some tips and hints about getting started on eBay, but also practically, for those of you who are already selling on eBay, a little bit more about what you should be considering. First steps. Sounds really simple, but you've got to get up and running. And creating a business account with us is quick and low cost. We don't have any subscription fees. Secondly, list your item. Sounds really simple, but the number of sellers who actually register and don't list is quite staggering. Listing is easy, and you could do that from your computer or your mobile device. The mobile device experience is actually super easy and quick. You can sell new, refurbished, and used products, clearance items, all in the same place. And we also have tools to allow you to sell more, making it easy to create hundreds of listings in one go, and you're always in control of how your products show up. So, if you take only 6 things from my talk today, these are the 6 that I'd like you to leave with. There's also a 7th, number 1, which is to start selling on eBay. You move back a little bit. So, 6 top tips. And we'll talk a little bit more about each of these. They're recurring themes throughout my talk. 1, include free postage. So you can actually get up to 30% more sales by including free postage on your items on eBay. Buyers expect a certain experience, and free shipping is kind of the norm in the UK retail market at the moment, and that's what our buyers are looking for. Items with free shipping do a lot better than those without on eBay. Secondly, free returns. In categories such as fashion, as you know yourselves, it's really important for there to be free returns. And again, it makes a huge difference to your likelihood of getting higher up in search. 3, a selection of photos. You'd be really surprised how many sellers only include 1 photo. It's not the best, and it won't allow your buyer to see your product in its true light. 4, fast dispatch times. So we have something on the site called Fast and Free. And again, items that have quick dispatch times do tend to do better on eBay. 5, detailed item titles. So we have a full 80 characters that you can make use of. Make use of those 80 characters with your title. Include all of the relevant information in your title in order to make sure that your item is found and also clicked on. And then 6, include item specifics. And item specifics are the likes of size, color, brand. Again, super important when your buyer is searching for your item. So I'm going to talk to you about the piece that everyone wants to know about, and that's search and how it actually works. So I'm allowed to show 2 photos, and then I'm going to talk a lot. So on eBay, you have to appeal to the robot and the person. So when I say the robot, we have an algorithm that looks at your item and decides whether it's relevant for our buyers. But then also you have to appeal to the person. If you are relevant, you will come up more in search. And also you are more likely to convert, which will then make you come up even higher in search. So it's all about relevance and recall. Relevance to make sure that your item has the best chance of coming up, and recall so that you appeal to the computer. The more you're deemed relevant and a purchase, the more your ranking increases, but you must first have relevance in the first place to show up at all. So, a little bit about how people search on eBay, and generally how people search. So identifying the right keywords help you target the audience and make a huge difference in the amount of traffic your eBay presence attracts. So when we think about a search query, somebody searching for shoes, for example, they might type into our search bar shoes. They're going to get a variety of results coming up. They're probably in a browsing pattern, so they're generally having a look, seeing what's out in the market. They tend to get more specific, so think brown, shoes, size 7, when they definitely have a purchase intent. And if you don't have those item specifics in your listing, then you're not going to show up when that person puts in brown, size 7 shoes. So you need to make sure that you've got those keywords in your title and in your description. A great place to start with this is firstly searching on eBay yourself and seeing what comes up for various different searches, but also Google Keyword Planner, which is a really useful tool to see what keywords are doing particularly well across the internet. So I'm going to talk you through a real example. So I'm thinking about buying my husband a pair of shoes for Valentine's Day. He's got really tiny feet, so I'm going to buy him a size 7. This is a hypothetical example, by the way. So I'll search for brown leather shoes, size 7. And this is how eBay looks on the mobile when you're searching for shoes that are brown leather shoes, size 7. When these search results come up, I might then decide I want to filter. And so now I'm going to go down to, it's coming up to Valentine's Day. I haven't done anything about it yet. I'm in a bit of a hurry. I'm going to go for buy it now items. So those are the items that I can transact and purchase right there and then. I'm then going to try and filter down a little bit more. There's quite a few search results that have come up, so I want to filter a bit more. So now I'm going to go, instead of going for all categories, I'm going to go for clothes, shoes, and accessories. And then I'm going to pick men's shoes. If you don't have the item specific stated in your listing as men's shoes, and instead you have it as formal shoes, unfortunately, you're not going to come up, and I'm not going to see you. So think about what your buyers are looking for. And finally, because he's got really small feet, only a little size 7, I'm then going to start to filter down to size. So now I'm going for size 7. And he's also managed to step away from Velcro shoes. He's now using lace-ups. So I'm now going to search in here and filter for lace-ups. Again, if you've got your shoes under deck shoes, you're not going to come up. So really important to put in those specifics to make sure that you come up for my search query. A bit about under the hood and what our search algorithm does. So the way that you're going to do better in search and the way that it's basically looking at you and your listing, it looks for what category you're in. So are you in a relevant category for this particular buyer's search? And it will push you higher up if you are in the correct category and that you've got those keywords that we've spoken about to make you come up. Item specifics, it does look at item specifics, so brand, size, important information, both in the title and also in the area where we allow you to put item specifics. Put those in, they're really important. Sales history. It also looks at whether your listing in the past has converted really well or if it's similar to other listings that have converted really well. So have a look at other things on eBay that have sold particularly well. And make sure you kind of emulate those listings in the use of item specifics and also the keywords. Now, your sales history, of course, is impacted by not only the keywords you use, but also if buyers actually go on and purchase that particular item from you. So it's important that when they get to your listing and they click on it, that it's also a really compelling experience for them. Make sure that they can see everything correctly, that it's easily viewed on mobile, that it's enticing, those things like free returns, etc. are there to give them confidence and comfort. And then you're going to convert better, which again will help your sales history. What gets a listing demoted? Really important things here. So demotion happens with keyword spamming. So if you put in all of the various types of shoes that you could possibly be, a similar to into your listing title, you're not going to do particularly well and will actually drop you down in the search. Violations, listing violations, duplicate policy, Vero infringements. So if you're trying to pretend that your Ugg boots, which aren't actually Ugg boots, are similar to Ugg boots, you're not going to do very well. And again, we'll drop you down in search. Equally, if you make lots of the same listing, that's a duplicate violation. And again, you will be demoted in search. Poor listing conversion. So if you have a load of buyers that get to your listing and they just don't convert, we're going to lower the visibility we give to you because you're not converting particularly well. And then finally, poor seller performance. If you don't deal with cases, problems, returns quickly and allow the buyer to have the best experience, again, we're going to drop you down in search. Really important things to remember because quite a lot of people fall foul of this. And then they wonder why they're kind of lower down in the search ranking and their business isn't as successful on eBay. So we're going to deep dive into some of the specifics. So categories, sounds really simple, and we've talked on it a little bit. It's the obvious. Being in the right category is really important to make sure that you show up. If you put your item in something similar, or you put on a second category that is completely irrelevant, again, that's going to mean that your purchase history and your sales history is impacted and you might be demoted in search. But also on the international selling side. So we have programs such as the Global Shipping Program, as I mentioned before, which allows you to say, yes, I'm happy for buyers throughout Europe to buy my item. But all that I will need to do is send my item in the UK to a UK warehouse, and eBay will take care of sending the item out to your buyer wherever they are. Now, if you are in the wrong category, there are some categories that are switched off for the Global Shipping Program. So you won't be taking advantage of all of those European buyers being able to see your item as well. That, of course, might affect your conversion and your sales history, and thus you might drop down in search. Titles. Sounds really simple. Imagine you're the buyer. What do you want to know? And I'm just going to call out an example. We've actually got Jane Bell at the front here, who's an eBay specialist and consultant. And she told me about a story of a particular client of hers. And I hope you don't mind me sharing this, Jane. He basically was in the kind of light fittings world. And he was very keen and knew his products really well and was very keen to call them a light fitment. And of course, buyers coming to eBay don't look for light fitments, they look for light bulbs. And unfortunately, this chap was getting quite annoyed at the fact that he wasn't coming up in search. And Jane sat with him and basically went through and said, think as though you're a buyer. Buyers aren't looking for light fitments, they're looking for light bulbs. So you might be really close to your particular product, but maybe just get other people to sanity check. Would you look for that on eBay? Have I got it right? We've talked about key details and item specifics, but also make sure that they appear in your title. It's important, again, that buyers really do see what your product can offer them within the title. And make use of subtitles. They are an additional cost, but they are really handy to tell buyers that you are a UK seller and that you have a particularly good track record with selling this particular product, or any free returns or anything else that you offer within that listing. Next, images. A lot of sellers on eBay tend to take photos with the item in situ and then put that in search in their listing. Unfortunately, what this does is it clouds and takes away from your particular product. It's important that when you do take photos of items, you try and do it on a white background. Think of the retail and e-commerce platforms that you enjoy shopping on. Generally, they're very clean. And again, show your item in the best possible light. Take care not to infringe copyright. You guys know this. And also, you can upload up to 12 photos for free on eBay, which is really handy. Really show your product. As I said before, you'll be surprised at the number of sellers who only put one photo onto their listing. You know, show all angles, show the item at the back, show any imperfections if there are any. Again, really important. And finally, we haven't talked about it yet, but multi-variation listings. So this is a listing where inside one listing, you have different colors and different sizes. Now, what this does is a couple of things. So it really helps you in coming up higher in search, because if you think you're combining all of the sales history from all of those individual variations into one, so it can make the difference between you coming up higher in search or lower, because you've got the yellow variation, the blue variation, the green variation, the size 10, the size 12, and the size 14 effectively in one listing. Obviously, make sure that listing is really compelling and sells really well, but it can really help you in terms of that sales history. But a key one with images and multi-variation listings is make sure that that first image you have shows your buyer the different variations that you have in the listing, so they're aware that they can buy the same color but a different size from you, or even the same size but a different color from you. And you're more likely as well to convert maybe 2 items from the same buyer in that one purchase or one transaction. Product identifiers is actually mandatory in some of our categories to enter product identifiers. And by product identifiers, I mean MPN, EAN, and GTIN. So it also means that if you add these, then we can combine similar items together and provide the buyer with a really compelling shopping experience. So we've got pages, for example, where if you're selling a Canon camera of a particular style or make, then or model, sorry, then we combine all of those cameras together and we show the buyer the different ranges, the different options that they have, all from one browsing experience. If you don't include those, you're not going to come up and you're going to get less visibility. So we've talked about item specifics, but think like a buyer and focus on the main characteristics that your buyers will filter searches on. Again, we've talked about that. And make sure that the information is accurate. We talked about the fact that if you lead the buyer into a listing that actually isn't what they're looking for, and they don't convert, it then is going to affect your purchase history and mean that you drop lower in search. Finally, well, not finally, I think I've got a few more, but description. Make sure it's mobile friendly. So mobile friendly on eBay, you can either make use of some of our templates or just plain HTML, really simple. It can make a huge difference in your listing actually converting. And a lot of our traffic now comes from the mobile experience. Put all the information above the fold. And by above the fold, I mean that cutoff point where if you open a screen and then you have to scroll, if you're scrolling, that's below the fold, and the part at the top is above the fold. Put all your key information at the top so your buyer doesn't have to scroll to find out more. And do that both on mobile and desktop. If I've got to scroll down to the bottom to actually see the most crucial information, I might not purchase from you and I might walk away and choose somebody else. Other tips. So, format. Generally, we advise long duration, multi-quantity, if you can, which we've spoken about, fixed price listings. They tend to get most visibility, they tend to have most longevity, and they tend to build up a better sales history than others. Price. Ensure you keep an eye on eBay and off eBay price. You'll be surprised the number of sellers who only look at eBay when they're comparing price. Makes a huge difference in terms of where you come up in Google Shopping, and your overall purchase history as well could be affected by that. If all buyers for your particular item are going through to a completely different site or different marketplace to buy it, again, you're not going to get the conversion. Payment and returns. We have something to help you on eBay with that. We've got something called business policies. And this allows you to state the same returns policy payment information for your listings and apply it to all of your listings. If anyone's got any questions on that, come and see me after. It's a really handy tool in your My eBay account if you're already a seller on eBay. Postage. Take advantage of click and collect. We've built infrastructure in the UK with Argos. No longer does a buyer have to sit there and wait in for their particular parcel to arrive. Maybe they're working, maybe they're in the city, and actually they walk past an Argos store every day. they might want to just nip in on their way home to collect their item. If you haven't enabled that option, again, you're not going to show up and those buyers won't buy from you. It's completely free, makes no difference to you. It's just literally you're shipping your item to the Argos store of their choice. Global shipping program we've talked about. Again, you just enable it on a listing by listing level basis. So when you're listing your item, you say, yes, include me in the global shipping program. And your item can be seen by European buyers, bought by European buyers, and all you have to do is ship it into the UK. And I can't stress enough, update and optimize your listings regularly. So things like title, mobile, images, keep an eye on them. Things change, eBay changes, buyers change. Make sure you're the most relevant listing on there and that you've got the best chance of coming up. I've also got one more sneaky tip, which isn't on here, which I'm going to tell you about. It's a little side tip just because you're here. There's also a really cool tool. So if you're brand new on eBay or you're thinking about opening an account, I'd really encourage you to take out a store, a basic store at the least, and set up something called promoted listings on your listings. Now, what promoted listings does, it allows you to increase your visibility on the first page when someone's searching for an item like yours. You have to pay for it. It is a paid-for service, but it can give you an initial boost so that your sales history improves right from the beginning, thus getting you higher in search right from the beginning. Really handy tip. Definitely encourage you to do that. Take a look at it. There are some webinars on eBay that can help you work out how to do it, but it's a really handy little tool and a great one if you're just starting on eBay. And finally, in the words of author Karen Lamb, a year from now, you will wish you had started today. So if you are a seller who hasn't even started on eBay, if you're a brand that's thinking about eBay, if you're a manufacturer who is, again, thinking maybe eBay might be for me, or maybe you're already an established seller on eBay, make sure you optimize, start today, get going, and we hope that you make the most of eBay.